All right, hello everyone. This is the Intro to Multimedia class, and I'll be your host for this little session here. Today we're making a sandwich. Of course, you can't have a sandwich without having a fork and a spoon to eat it with, and that's the whole comedic bit about this whole exercise. So let's begin. We're using Krita today. Hit File. So those of you watching, just watch first, and then you can pause the video as you go along, trying to keep up. All right, so I'm going to hit New. First thing you want to do is you want to set the dimensions for your file. Because we're not aiming to print this, we can leave our resolution at 72 ppi, which is pixels per inch. But we definitely want to be a desktop wallpaper size background, so 1920 by 1080 will be fine. So I'm going to choose Create. Just going to slightly zoom out. And what you want to do first of all is you want to gather your images. So if you haven't already gone on Google, you can always choose to go on Google, and I'll just create a new Chrome window, and let me just show you how you can search for your images a little more intriguingly. Well. That's taking its sweet time. Right. This is taking a while to load. Let's kill a few processes. Wow. Let's hope this actually works now. Alright, so basically we're looking for images. We need things like sandwiches, so things that you use to make a sandwich, like bread, slice. So you can look for the images in autocomplete. Why? Probably have to crop that part of the video. Let's just begin. Assuming you've gotten your images already, I'm going to show you a folder that contains the images I have. Um, wow, what is that? Right, where are we? So navigate to the folder you have your image in. I have mine in my downloads folder inside the Intro to Multimedia folder, and I have a few images. Let's work with the set of images here. So we have our bread, we have our tomato slice, spoon, we have a tablecloth, we have cheese, we have all these different things. The simplest thing to do is to drag my image inside Krita and insert it as a new layer. Once you insert it as a new layer and you're satisfied with that, you can leave with that. So the next bit we want to put in is the plate. Right? We have a plate here. We'll just insert as new layer. Once you've inserted as new layer, you'll notice something about this particular image. I'm going to select the transform tool. That's a box with a few little dots on it. Allows me to actually move the image. If I wanted to, I could rotate said image or scale it, right? But I don't want to really do any of that stuff. So I'll leave it like this and press enter to confirm. The issue with this image is that this image has a background in there. We don't want any backgrounds in our image. So we actually want to remove this gray area around the image. Now there's multiple ways you could do it. So for example, let's say I use the magic wand tool, and this is a tool that selects contiguously contiguous pixels or pixels that are beside each other that have the same value. So if I actually hit this here, I'm going to get this very weird shape, which is selecting everything here. And if I press delete, it's going to kind of erase some of my image. I don't want that. What I want is to be able to select just a circle. So the best tool for that is using the elliptical selection tool and doing that. So I'm going to hold it and I'm going to hold shift in order to select that stuff. And I'm going to just move that selection. So I have selection. I'm just going to move that selection. Well, let me just change something first. Tool options, make sure it's one of those things. And just select my ellipse. Oops. Select. Um, select from the middle of the plate. Shift. Control. Make a selection. Move that selection to where you want it to be. Right? And if you want to change the selection, you could always scale the selection to more. So maybe I want just a smidge more. Right? Press OK. Gets a little bit bigger. And once I'm satisfied with how that looks, what I want to do is delete everything else outside of it. Currently, the selection is on the plate itself. So I could delete the plate, or I could invert the selection. And to do that is just simply press select, invert selection, and press delete. And that removes everything else except the plate. All right, so the plate is finished. What do we need now? Things on the plate. So we have knife.png, and some images you can get that are actually transparent backgrounds, or they have transparent backgrounds. So if I insert an image like this as a new file, I'll get an image that has a perfectly cut out background. I move my knife over to the right side because that is customary when you're eating sandwiches. And I'll also have my spoon. And currently this spoon is too large. So we can actually transform this like so. I'm going to hold shift to maintain the size or the proportions, and just kind of measure it along with that size. I think this size works. Once I'm satisfied, I just leave my spoon right there. Now we're almost on our way. Now, just before we continue, I want you to notice something on the right side, these layers here. Layers work like a stack. Essentially, if you were to hide our layers, you'll notice that the things at the bottom are the ones, well, stack works like this. The things that are lower is going to appear behind, and the things in front of those layers are going to obstruct the layers below them. So think of stacking papers or Pringles chips, and that's a stack. All right, so let's just throw in the stuff that we need. We need toast. I'm going to insert that. And I'm going to move this on a higher layer so you can see that the toast comes in front of everything else. Now using the magic wand tool, because we have a white background, I just select that and simply delete. And I'll just move my toast on the bread, or move my bread on the plate. While holding shift and grabbing a diagonal edge, you can scale it down. Again, this is like a recap, so it's gonna go kind of fast. What do we need besides bread? Won't be the same without cheese. So insert that layer, magic wand again, and delete. Now we have an issue here. We have here, and I'll hide a couple layers so you can see it a little bit more clearly. We actually have this issue here where we have that very weird gray area, right? And what we want to do is just clean that up a little bit. Now you have tools you can use to fix that. We have down here all our selection tools, and for one of the selection tools I'm going to use is the Polygonal Select tool, which allows us to select straight edges. If I click on that, here, let's go across straight edges. Don't have to be too neat about it. Just gonna cut and cut across because it's cheese. Right. Do that. that, this, and bam, and press delete. So you can see how useful that tool could be. I'll just clean this up just a smidge more and delete. Voila. Perfect cheese. And we just put on the toast, right? And use the move tool or the transform tool to select that layer. Once it's selected, you can just, ooh, can't transform an empty layer. Unfatigué. So let's move that layer right here. Perfect. After the cheese comes the tomato slices. New layer. So it's basically a repetition of the same. Just click, remove the white background, simply select it with your magic wand tool and delete. Voila. And just drop that tomato slice there. And if you want more tomato slices, you are free to do one of the following. One, you could always go back on Google and download a whole bunch more, or simply duplicate. So if I want to duplicate a layer, I can simply right click on the layer, and there's an option that says duplicate layer or mask, and the shortcut is Control J. Hit that, and just gonna move that tomato slice out, and I can actually rotate this one by simply moving the arrow outside that box there. Let's use the shortcut this time, Control J, and move that here. What's next? A lettuce, right? Just throw that in as a new layer. Remove our background, as is our custom, right? Select all those white things, and maybe you want to select more on top of that, and more on top of that, and more on top of that, and so on and so forth. And you just keep going until you're satisfied with what you're getting. And I just press delete. Now when you press delete, it actually deletes the white pixels. When it comes to another class, I'm going to show you what we call non-destructive editing, where you actually maintain all your pixels and just hide the ones you want to see. So this looks good so far. And last but not least, we have our piece of chicken leg. Now what's better than bite into a sandwich and then suddenly find a bone in there? That's so interesting. All right, next again, magic wand tool, selects the white area, simply press delete. That looks delicious. And last but not least, we need more bread. So we're going to duplicate this layer. And let's hit that duplicate button down there. Move this just above here at the top. And our sandwich is complete. Voila. Now the next thing is that notice in our previous image the tablecloth was red. The truth is we actually haven't gotten a red tablecloth. We just edited the colors of that particular image. So I'm going to show you how I did that. We have the checkered table layer, and we're going to create a new layer on top of that by pressing the plus button. And that creates for me layer 2. And all I simply need to do is take a brush tool right here and change the color of the brush. I'm going to change to red. And I can probably fill it in red like this. Now this is probably more a manual way to do this, but you can also use the paint bucket tool, right? Yeah, I'm showing you the multiple different ways you can do it. So paint bucket tool actually fills in an entire area. Just hit that and it fills in everything as red. Tada, our tablecloth is red. But we can't actually see the tablecloth now. So I'm going to change the blending mode from normal to color, and that's all. What it does, it changes whatever is below it to the color that it's representing. So if I was to move this red all the way to the top, everything turns a wonderful shade of red. Of course, that's not what we want, so I'm going to press undo, which is Control Z, and we are having a wonderful sandwich. Well, that's it for this thing. Hope you got something out of it. So that was the recap. So thank you for watching. Have a good night.